So GMB pros, welcome those that are here live, those that are catching the replay. We have a fan favorite today with Jason Guy. A lot of people, the last time he was on setting up an ad, he did it live with us and had a lot of great response, a lot of good knowledge drops. So I appreciate him. Um, we actually met in person, so don't let the camera fool you. He is a tall dude.
All
Real.
dark and handsome.
There you go. So super excited, guys, to have him on here today. I appreciate him. Um, Google ads, right? Google ads, how to turn, $22 ads and how to get a better conversion on them. So uh, we especially with the new year, I think that should be kind of like our best practices, right? Running ads for ourselves, learning how to run ads for our clients, right? And some little bit of cold email out there, a little bit of content, with your social media, YouTube. I think that is a great formula for success. So I'm super excited, guys. Super excited what's coming on with our couple guests that I'm trying that has been super successful. Can't wait to get it to you guys. With that being said, Mr. Jason Guy, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So for those that didn't catch the first round when you were with us, um, what is what can you give us a little bit background on yourself? What's your background? Um, how you got to this point, kind of your journey a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Jason Guy. I'm a digital marketing guy. I've specialized in the past in rank and rent, local SEO, and now Google AdWords. I'm the owner of a couple of Facebook groups, Rank and Rent for Babies, as well as Google AdWords for Babies. I have an ad agency myself called Ludicrous Local Leads. And we also offer coaching. So we'll help medium to large advertising companies set up or fix their broken Google Ads divisions and help them run successful ads primarily for the home service industry, right? So if they come out to the house or even car related, that's the kind of B2C that we're good at. We don't do e-commerce. We're a home service industry guy. So like roofing, insulation, pressure washing. I've got a lot of pressure washing clients. That's primarily my background. I also love doing Google Ads audits where like I come in for like a 45-minute consult, help fix a broken campaign. We'll usually do that like once a month for 90 days if somebody hires me from that angle and help them turn around and audit a campaign that needs to be turned around. Um, so yeah, I just love Google Ads. That's what I do, and it's my passion now too.
Awesome. Before we jump in, real quick, there's a gentleman that's going to hop on that I think could really benefit from that. But as far as audits, any type of campaign, like a campaign for ourselves, a campaign for a client, any type of audits there?
So primarily my specialty in auditing is the home service industry. So let's say that let's say you have an advertising agency and you've got a client that does spray foam insulation, for instance, and your cost per lead is high or your lead flow is low. Um, I can do a consult over Zoom and audit the campaign and help diagnose the problem and make suggestions for what to do going forward. That would be a typical ad audit for me is the B2C. It's my specialty. I
Awesome.
have run B2B ads like, to help acquire clients for ad agencies. However, I would say that my specialty is in the B2C.
Awesome. And just to set the stage, Jason, why Google Ads? Why not Facebook?
So, okay, that's a very good question. It's two very different types of advertising, right? Facebook ads are almost like a billboard that you drive by, right? It's relatively cheap per person that sees it, and nobody asks to see it. So you can put a billboard up for anything that you can create demand for, right? So you can put up a billboard for a bouncy house, and next thing you know, the guy's getting 10, 15 calls because it planted an idea. I'm going to do that for my kid's birthday. Whereas with Google search ads, it is not to create demand for something, right? Like bouncy house, escape room. These are things you can create demand for, fun things. Um, but fulfilling demand with Google search is somebody just typed in pressure washing company near me or spray foam insulation contractors. And now it's our job to fulfill that demand. I like that because the lead quality is higher. It is more expensive per lead. So it just is my firm belief that you should have multiple levers going, right? So you might have Facebook ads cost you one third as much, but they don't convert as well. So you just need to have more of them, right? Or maybe give those leads to your younger salesperson who doesn't close as well because they're not like where your higher quality leads. But your Google ads are typically even higher quality leads than SEO because of the demographics tweaks that you can do. But maybe
Right.
we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. So is it safe to say Facebook higher volume, lower quality, lower costs
Definitely lower cost, lower quality.
versus Google higher quality, higher
Higher cost.
cost, but
Yeah.
lower volume, if you would say?
The volume is going to vary between the two. So if we take volume out, it is higher cost, it is higher quality. Facebook would be lower cost, lower quality. Um, One thing that's a little different about Facebook ads that you won't get, because the volume is a complicated question.
Hmm.
With Facebook ads, um, it sort of is like shooting fish in a barrel, right? You're taking fish and you're pulling them out. But the thing is, once you've pulled those fish out of the barrel, you've got a fixed size barrel, and then you start looking for more fish, and they're not to be found, right? In other words, like by the end of 3 months, if I'm doing Facebook ads for a pressure washing company, what can happen is everyone in my town has seen the pressure washing ads, and some people responded, but 4 months later, they're just seeing the same ad again. And if they were going to respond, they would have already responded. So what can happen with Facebook ads, if your budget is medium to high, then what will happen is you'll use up your audience and your cost per lead will start going up. Google Ads tends to be a little bit more evergreen, right? Meaning it's almost like the same fisherman is instead at a waterfall where there's a river and there's a constant flow of fish, and you're grabbing one here, you're grabbing one there, and it's a never-ending supply of fish. So that is one pro to Google AdWords. And you would think that the Facebook ad would be a con, but if you simply use them properly, right, you could take and fill in demand gaps. So for instance, take the pressure washing trade, right? They tend to be a little bit slower in March, where everyone wants to start working March 1st, but they tend to be a little bit slow right off the bat. You could run some Facebook ads for about 3 weeks depending on your climate to kickstart the campaign. Pressure washing tends to slow down in July and August. You could start Facebook ads just to make sure if you've got 3 trucks to keep them on the road. But you don't necessarily want to have them running all year long unless it's a very low budget. Facebook ads can be great to say, I need fish in a barrel right now. So whereas Google Ads is evergreen, Facebook can be a little more spiky.
Awesome. So with that said, man, I don't have a high budget. My cost per lead, how do I get it from 22 to $2 a lead?
Okay, so the title of mine is to be more realistic, how to go from like a $200 cost per lead down to a $22 cost per lead if we're talking the home service industry. Um, so would it be okay with you? So if I go ahead, I had sort of prepared a
Yeah,
keynote. Uh,
absolutely.
okay.
Yes.
So I've got a slideshow too. Would it be okay if I had Zoom control?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Which you should have.
Okay.
So guys, if you have any questions as Jason gets prep for this, if you have any questions, these are the few questions that, I've experienced, marketing buddies have experienced. I wanted to cover, make sure, but if you do have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll try to reach or answer each one as we go along here. Maybe at the end, we'll reserve it for a Q&A. And figure out, and he's right. I did a misread. How do you get your $200 per lead on Google Ads campaign into a $22 ad, right?
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, feel
Well, I'd
free
be
to
getting a lot of calls after this podcast if I get
Uh,
Google leads for $2.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So is everybody able to see my screen? It should be a blue box. Okay. All right. So I already kind of talked about how I've been in digital marketing for about 14 years. I've been doing it full time for about 6 or 7. Um, and this is my Facebook profile here. So if you're not already a Facebook friend or follower, you're welcome to find me. I try to drop value on Facebook whenever I can. Um, I was also at one time considered the most handsome SEO guy in Maryland. If you Google that phrase, my website, a blog on my website is actually the listing #1 and the listing #2. Um, and it stayed that way. I even had the image until I bragged about it in a room full of SEO people. And so, but I do still have the 1 and 2 website ranking for that. Um, so I don't want to talk about my life too much. I want to talk about like it's my assumption that most of the people following along are internet marketing guys, right? So I want to talk about your business and the impact that you can have on your clients using ads as well as for yourself and your family, right? Because not only can we have fulfillment when we make good money and can buy a nicer car, but it's also a really cool feeling when you can change somebody's life for the better, right? To help a small business keep his employees busy, to help a man grow his pressure washing or his tree company enough so that they can quit their job, go do that full time, or their wife can quit and come on board because you've grown the business so much. So it's nice when you can work with your wife. Oops, wrong slide there. That's husband and wife working together. So I personally had the joy of helping a tree service guy quit his well-paying day job. Like he was making 125K a year. Um, but he wanted the lifestyle of a small business. He was able to quit when we helped his business reach 600K. He now makes multiple 7 figures. His wife was able to come work for them 6 months later. So of all the clients that I've helped in the past, it's one of the most satisfying to share, like when you can make a change in someone's life, right? We all want to grow our own business, make a lot of money, be successful. But when you can impact the life of someone else and bring happiness and job satisfaction, like that's something money can never buy. So I want to talk about how we can be more impactful with our ad campaigns. And even a little bit later, how you can use that line of thought in order to go ahead and close a client that's on the fence about using you. But if money does buy happiness for you, then know this. Like most SEO guys, I can make about $100 an hour while I'm in the act of doing SEO, right? Even more if I'm coaching someone, a little bit less if I'm delegating to my team. But with Google AdWords, I can make around $250 an hour. So I'm going to share with you like why that's the case with me for AdWords, but not with SEO. So if you want to have a greater ability to impact the lives of your family and your clients and to skillfully sell that ability, to hold on to the customer for the long haul, then you have to add Google Ads onto your SEO agency. One of the most important reasons for that is to get over the initial hump that we'll have with a new client, right? When you can impress somebody with a good flow of leads in the first 3 months of working together, they will be happy, they'll know where their money's going, and they'll have more patience for a long-term SEO campaign as they have leads coming in right now. So that's one thing pay-per-click is great for. I can set up a campaign on Friday and have leads coming in on Monday. Also, they're not going to fire you the first time their keyword dips for instance, pressure washing company Seattle, because they have leads coming in. So how does an SEO guy make the maximum impact for his clients? Okay, so number one, you can supplement your SEO leads with Google Ads. Number two, set the proper expectations. So for instance, I like to show on a sales call a 3-year chart of potential revenue growth, right? That works for you in more than one way, more than just to close the sale, but to keep them on board long term with you mentally. And number three, you can actually get a maximum impact for your client by getting a large down payment for your services. That seems like a selfish endeavor, doesn't it? But you'll see why it can actually benefit them. So each of these three is not just for you, but also for them as well. So we say number one to supplement your SEO leads because no matter how good you are at SEO, it takes time. So we want to avoid a situation where clients are getting impatient with leads coming in, right? You can't make an impact on any businessman's life and family if we get fired 3 months into an SEO campaign. Like, has that happened to anybody before? Is there a chat box everyone can comment in? So that's why the first thing any new SEO guy should do with a client is to set up a Google Ads campaign. Like that should be a month one task, even before SEO begins. So this will get the leads coming in strong and fast, give them something significant and tangible to sink their teeth into. And in my experience, even to justify their decision to their significant other, right? Some things that happen behind the scenes. So if you want guaranteed leads coming in, that is Google Ads. So number two, how do we set the proper expectations for what we can do with Google Ads and SEO? For one thing, we don't talk about like the quantity of leads or the cost per leads, ranking gains, GMB listings, website optimizations. We tend to do that as SEO guys, right? But none of that really matters to them. What you want to do is to sell the dream on the initial call, right? Selling the dream on the initial call will not only help you to close the sale, but it'll help them to have long-term patience as your SEO campaign is in its early stages. Every business dreams that their revenue can grow over the next 3 to 5 years. So this is why for every client I hop on a sales call with, I ask them the following questions. I'm like, hey, what did you make last year in 2023? What did you make the year before that, right? So that you can find their income trajectory. And what are your revenue goals for 2024, right? So not only does this give you a foundation to paint a revenue growth story for them, but it allows you to use their own goals to close the sale on the second call. Okay, so here's an example. And this is an actual chart of revenue growth for one of my first large clients where we did all three attacks like SEO, rank and rent, and Google Ads in combo. And so, your numbers will be different. Use a genuine chart, show them real numbers. They should be custom to the client that you're on the call with. But setting revenue expectations with a new client not only will onboard them with a long-term goal, but it also avoids that tendency to fire the SEO guy 3 to 6 months into a campaign. And it helps you close the sale in the first place, right? Because usually you need to stir some emotions to show that you're going to make their life better some way. So I show them this graph usually on the second call, which is the one I try to close on. So, but you need to be able to use their own numbers, the first three numbers that they gave you, in order for this to work. This will help to connect them to the chart. And then the final three numbers after that would be a forecast, realistically based on what you've been able to do before. So this is going to help you in two ways. It can help you close the deal, but also it helps set up for a long-term relationship and not a desperate 3-month evaluation of where they are, right? Finally, you want to get a large down payment. This is going to do a couple of things for you. This weeds out lower quality clients, right? Zero down payment customers have always been my biggest pain in the butt, right? And they will suck your time dry. Number two, the down payment allows me to run their campaign at a lower cost per month, right? So if I'm setting up a campaign for zero down, I'm actually losing money for about 3 to 4 months. But with a large down payment, I can kind of front load my time and take the time to set up proper infrastructure like a whiteboard explainer video. I'll coach them through an interview style video to use on a landing page. I'll build 3 landing pages so I can test my video, their video, and one with just pictures. So this pays me for my time to set up the campaign, set up an IP address blocker. These are things that are just too tedious for a zero down Google Ads campaign. So if I set all of this up before day one, I can charge a lower monthly payment, and that enables me to close more deals, right? Once I set up the proper infrastructure, the campaign can practically run itself outside of a few split tests I need to babysit and an audit here and there. The third thing the large down payment does for you is they'll be more vested in you, right? They're not going to make a large investment in you and then turn around in 2 to 3 months and stop the monthly services, right? Large down payment clients, they stick around for the long haul. Okay, so another selling point, and part of the reason I charge a large down payment, is that all of the infrastructure that I build belongs to the client, right? This is a unique selling point that is a little bit rare with my agency. A lot of people will set up something in their own ad campaign, and if you leave me, you're screwed, right? What good does it do you when you part ways to delete their old campaign or keep it for yourself? Instead, consider charging for all of that infrastructure you're setting up, right? That large down payment. And that may include like a whiteboard video, coaching them through an interview style video where it's a video of them talking to the customer, build them multiple landing pages, set up an IP address blocker to prevent competitors and bots from driving up their ad cost, right? The actual campaign you build will belong to them. So that gives you a selling point that will separate you from other agencies. Heavy AdWords management for 90 days. There's more work in the first 3 to 4 months than like a $600 monthly retainer would cover, right? The down payment allows me to be compensated for all the dialing in that an ad campaign requires in those first 90 days. Also would cover some kind of, for instance, like a Facebook retargeting campaign or Google AdSense. These are fairly simple to set up, and clients love hearing that they'll be the ones following people around on the internet, right? Really milk this selling point on the second sales call. In fact, I don't even reveal this on the first call. I like to get them excited about what we're going to do before I ask for the sale. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So we're going to talk about a few of the elements that make for a high performing Google Ads campaign. So one is the landing page. We're going to start with an imaginary local service business, right? It's Frank's Moving Company. He has as an imaginary budget of $1,500, and he says, hey, if the ROI is there, right? We've all heard that. What can I, as a Google Ads expert, do for him, right? So this is what I would do for Frank Smith's Moving Company. Before calling me, Frank tried to do his own ads, And Frank now assumes that Google ads are too expensive, right? Has anybody heard this before? Right? This is a good time to drop something in the chat. Like, have you heard a client say, I don't believe in Google ads, they're too expensive? Well, yeah, that's because like you don't know how to run it, and I do, right? And what we're going to show today is how easy it is to go from a $200 lead down to $22. They ran their own campaign and then they blame Google ads for being expensive. So let's take a look at where Frank is sending his traffic, okay? So Frank's worldwide moving. So like many business owners, Frank thinks it is okay to send ad traffic to his home page. But look at Frank's home page. First of all, I always think about like if I was the one needing a moving company, not just how do I convert, but when am I ready to convert, right? So to the first point on this website, a quick scan, if you could scroll down to see the rest of it, there's actually 8 red call to actions that I'm being invited to, right? Frank is like a desperate guy at a bar, like, hey, will you go out with me? How about now? Will you go out with me now? Right? Um, it's a mess. And the thing that we need to understand here is that the customer is going to take the path of least resistance, right? So when thinking about how to design a landing page, um, have you ever like changed the oil in your car and missed a little bit? I have, and it like stunk to high heaven for 3 days whenever the car ran. Um, I was a teenager and I had a Taurus SHO, and they were complicated and needed oil from time to time. But what is the name of that tool that you need to get the oil where you want it to go and not all over the the um the car? It's called a funnel, right? So the idea behind a funnel is that you can be as sloppy as you want with the oil, but it will get redirected to where you want it to go. So a customer is going to behave on a website just like the oil does in that funnel. They will follow psychologically the path of least resistance. So their mind is going to, generally speaking, make quick decisions based on the visuals that are in front of them. And they'll either be enticed into converting into a lead or they'll get frustrated and bounce after exploring for a bit. And on a really good landing page, they can even be warmed up beyond the point of being a hot lead to where they only want to work with this business, not anybody else. But we'll talk more about that later because that's actually a different subject. That's some advanced marketing right there, pre-selling them. So now in marketing, the term sales funnel has got a little sloppy lately. Some people think like about click funnels. And I don't hate them, but they want you to think a sales funnel is 4 pages long where one step builds on another. And that has its place, but when you're running ads for a local service company, you just want one thing, and that is the lead, right? There are no auxiliary goals. I just want a phone call that is meaningful, right? Or else I want a form to be filled out, right? Like a name, phone number, email, maybe a job description. Now, with that in mind, take a look again at where Frank is running his ads to. Right? With 8 calls to action, Frank is like that teenager putting oil into his Camaro. He's going to get it everywhere and stink the place up. So what we need instead is the original definition of a sales funnel, and that is a page that directs a customer when and where we want them to convert, right? So I want to start with a tiny introduction first. I don't want to ask for the lead right away. And then I want to invite them to call or fill out a form, and that's it. I want to get to the point as fast as I can effectively. Also, if possible, warming them up along the way. Okay, so these are the elements for a killer landing page. So you want to call them to a micro conversion. That this could be a 15-minute talk. Actually, I have a video out there about micro conversions. If you follow me on Facebook, I'll post it tomorrow. It's a 7-minute video. So basically what we want to do is at the beginning of our landing page, don't ask for the sale. Just ask them to watch the video. And then in the video, reassure them that you are a company that they want to work with and then ask for the phone call or the contact us form. Another element to a good landing page is a killer video, right? Like you can have a cute whiteboard done. You can do like I do, where we do an interview with the owner and coach them through that. You can show, for instance, a video of a guy pressure washing a house in high speed, a demo, or you can do a customer testimonial. Another element to a good landing page are bullet points, right? Because nobody reads. You see how I have 6 bullet points here? If there were 3 paragraphs here, no one would read that. Have a phone number and test it that you can click it very easily with mobile, and put a contact us form right on the home page. Do not put a button leading to another page that has a form, right? It will not convert as well. When you go to a doctor's office, do they ever say, hey, run into this room around the corner and fill a form out? No, they say, here's a form, and what do you start doing? You start filling it out. So in much the same way, I want a contact us form right on our landing page, and you'll start converting 50% better with just that one change. Once we've done that, we then want to have an additional attempt to close the shoppers. So we don't do super long form landing pages, but we do try again if they're not already sold by the time we've done the video. So what I mean is we might put the company reviews now, maybe a second video, and maybe we'll put the phone number and the contact us form again. Not maybe, we will do that again. Okay, here is one example of a landing page and the elements of a landing page that helps it to convert into action. So this micro conversion up here, sorry if the screen looks very small, but notice we're just asking them to watch our video below. That is the first thing we try to get them to do, right? So it's the act of getting them to do just one small thing that will lead them on the path to a larger conversion. So people use them in sales all the time. So for instance, if I was at the door trying to close a pressure washing job, for instance, a micro conversion might be, my goal is to get the customer to laugh, right? When I'm at the door with them, it would increase trust and make it harder to say no with someone when you have rapport. So that's a micro goal. I would maybe want to walk around the house with them, because if they get 3 estimates, they probably didn't walk around the house with the other 2 guys. And then my third goal might be, hey, I want to come inside of the house with you. And it separates you from other people. These are examples of micro conversions for guys in the field closing deals. I tell you this partly so you know what the concept is for your landing pages, right? But also partly so that you can be more than just an ad guy to Frank, but you can also coach him and help Frank close his moving leads. You become so much more valuable to that client, and you can stay on for the long term if you have a conversation with Frank and help him get his close rate up from 20 to 30%. That may be the difference between him being able to afford his ads guy in a few months. So micro conversions are a great way to move a customer along in the process from impression to click to conversion to an actual sale. So on my landing page, this conversion is very simple. Please watch my video, then fill out the form. I do not ask for the lead until I have built trust and given them a reason to use our company. Okay, number 2 element of a killer landing page is the video. So I think actually the art of making videos to help convert a lead could get its own 1-hour talk also. So for now, I'm just going to put a pin in that and say, try to use a good whiteboard subcontractor, or simply interview the customer with your iPhone turned sideways if you're in driving range of the client, and get a good dialogue going. What I do now is I'll write a script for them. I have a template, and I'll sub in their name, what I want them to say. And then I'll say, your camera operator says this, right? It can be your wife, and then you say this. And I literally give them the script to shoot their own video. If we have more time, or if you guys want to ask about that after the presentation, we can go deeper into videos that convert. because a really good video will not just get you the lead, it will get them to put the computer or the phone away because they are convinced that there's no need to get 3 estimates. I have found the contractor I want to use, right? Let me repeat that because this is not just advertising and conversion rate optimization, right? You can not only use good videos to get the lead, but you can use great videos to pre-close the customer, increase the sales rate for your client so they don't just get more leads, but they make more revenue. Okay, so we've got bullet points. We've got a call to action. And we've got additional selling down here. Like, hey, here's my reviews, and then another phone number and a form. Okay, negative keyword. A negative keyword simply tells Google if a customer types in the following keywords, do not show an ad to them. You should eventually have a negative keyword list for your niche like I do for pressure washing and a few other trades, but here are a few to get you started. Right, so I don't know if you want to like take a screenshot. I'm just going to pause for 10 seconds. These are just a few negative keywords that will work for just about any campaign. Okay, let's talk about ads that get the click versus ads that convert into a lead. Okay. An example of an ad that gets the click might start with a number, right? Like saying, hey, we have 100% satisfaction guarantee, or we are the #1 rated in Seattle. An ad that gets the click might be shorter than the rest, right? Like a text ad with 2 lines instead of 3 tend to stand out in many markets when so many people are trying to fill out everything. Leave some things blank, have a short ad. You may actually get an increase in your click-through rate. You can use a question or even 2 questions in your ad. Need insulation, question mark. On the other hand, ads that get the conversion, you can invite them to request a free quote right in the ad. So when they see the invitation for a micro conversion, they will continue to be led along the path to filling out that form, right? So you start priming them to fill out the form, to watch the video, and then they're going to naturally want to fill out the form. That type of ad will help the conversion rate. It was quite a revelation. I used to think landing pages, that ads dictated click-through rate and that landing pages dictated conversion rate, but you can manipulate conversion rate starting right with the ad. Another ad that gets a conversion is an ad that starts with the brand name instead of a phone number. May attract less total clicks, but it may get less people that clicked on your ad because you baited them in. So clickbait has its advantages, right? But the more serious people who slowly read each ad may be better customers on average. So starting with a customer's brand name, right? Alfredo's Pressure Washing may not get as many total clicks or leads, but if that client has a lower budget, then the higher overall conversion rate of the ad, along with the lower cost per lead that will bring, may be better for a mom and pop shop with like a starter budget of $1,500. So determine what your client needs. Like, is it maximum leads regardless with cost per lead, like a lot of mature roofing companies have? Or is it a lower budget, lower cost per lead needed, like a younger company, and adjust your ads accordingly? I like using 3 ads to 3 landing pages, which is a total of 9 ads that I create. Then I can see trends for which ads are getting the best click-through rate or which are getting the best conversion rate. And I'll usually start by eliminating the weakest ad and or the weakest landing page. If I find one loser of each, like 90 days into the campaign, I would, for example, have 2 ads now going to 2 landing pages. So then I would be testing 4 combinations going forward instead of 9. All right, so now let's finally talk about the math behind low-cost Google Ads leads. So before we learn how to fix the problem for Frank, we first need to take a step back and look at the math on how to predict or even manipulate what our cost per lead is going to be. And how far apart is a $200 lead really from a $22 lead? It may be closer than you think. And oftentimes it's just a few tweaks away. So Frank was paying $200 per lead when he did the campaign himself, right? So I come in with my cape on. Oh, sorry, wrong slide again. Okay, I come in with my cape on. Frank was paying $200 per lead. And a realistic goal with a much better landing page than his website, I can increase his conversion rate from 5% to 15% right off the bat with just a landing page upgrade test and a split test. Okay, so now with a landing page that converts 3 times as well, I'll have a cost per lead of $66 instead of $200. 3 times the leads for the exact same budget because my landing page is more effective. That is a realistic thing that happens when you get a good landing page. And the cool thing is that the math of how to predict how well a Google Ads audit will go for you stacks on top of itself. Okay? So to illustrate, imagine that we're taking kids to school, and there were 2 main factors that we had to determine how many kids we could move, right? So we start with a single short bus that can fit 10 people. Now imagine we had one of 2 choices. We can double the number of buses, or we can double the size of each bus. Either way, we can get 10 extra kids to school for a total of 20 people, right? But what happens if we make both changes? Do we get an extra 10 kids to school? Somebody help me. How many kids do we go to school if we do both things? We get 40, right? I forgot not everyone has the power for a microphone. That's actually probably for the best. If you make both changes, you don't get an extra 10 kids the second time you make a change. You now have doubled it again, and you're getting 40 kids to school by making those 2 changes. So each factor that you use to make a Google Ads campaign more efficient exponentially changes your quantity of leads, as well as inversely your total cost per lead, until you have a campaign that can bring in hundreds of leads. And it isn't really that hard to take a terrible campaign and turn it around. So this illustrates just how valuable you can become when you're skilled at Google AdWords, and why you can eventually command $250 to $500 an hour for your work. So the second change that we make ends up building on the first, right? So now let's say through the use of very effective negative keywords, and I eliminate a few underperforming positive target keywords, we make the campaign much less wasteful, right? So all the non-buyer keywords, they don't trigger a search anymore. And by cutting out all the waste, we can eliminate half the wasted clicks. So we increase his conversion rate from 15% to 30%. So his campaign is now twice as effective, and his cost per lead drops in half. So now instead of $66 per lead, just to use a round number, he's getting $33 per lead, right? And lastly, we set up an IP address so that a competitor can only ever see his ad twice from a single home router or a cell phone. We cut another 1/3 off of our cost per lead, right? So then we take his leads from $33 per lead to $22 per lead. And these were just 3 of 18 factors that I will look at during a Google Ads audit, right? So feel free to snap a picture of these or to write them down. These are things that I look for during a Google Ads audit. I'm not going to read them all. All right, so in conclusion, Google AdWords is a very valuable skill to have in your marketing agent arsenal, right? It should be done before any SEO is started so that you can guarantee the client sees immediate leads. A Google Ads audit is an excellent first step if they have run their own ads, or you can even use some of their data to help build your own campaign from scratch. It benefits them by bringing in leads and helps you buy the time you need to perform effective SEO. It also will help smooth out the lead flow the next time the next SEO algorithm hits, because your Google Ads campaign will not be affected at all by SEO algorithm changes. In fact, if you need to, you can simply turn up the bid per click and start getting more leads right away, turning what used to be an emergency in my company to almost a non-event. And if you need help running your own ads, you already know my rates. But if you want to learn how to do them yourself, starting in February, there'll be a group of men getting together, and we'll start another group coaching class where once a week we get together and do over-the-shoulder ad stuff like we did a month ago. We'll do field audits live where we discuss and fix dysfunctional campaigns on screen and network with other ad guys. So if you want to friend me on Facebook, that's my Facebook URL link. Drop me a PM if you're interested in group coaching, or just follow me for now and just hang out. So what did you guys think? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, great stuff, Jason. I appreciate you. So a few questions that came up. I'll kind of start from the beginning. Setting up an ads campaign for those that are not or have not done any ads. Is that easy to do for a beginner? Is it hard? Is it something we should look for? Is it something we could do with our email, or is it the client's email? As far as the setup, how smooth is that?
Okay, very good question. So it is easy to set up, right? In fact, we did it together last month and it took 35 minutes to set up an ad campaign. Here's the catch. We used one keyword. We used the client's homepage. And it was kind of a helicopter overview, right? It's also easy for a business owner to set their own up. What's not easy is having the skill and experience to not end up bringing in $200 leads for them. So you need to learn the skill if you're going to command the higher rates. So learn the skill.
Awesome. So another question that came up, let's take the water damage guy. He tried ads, he found some success and then they dropped and then they found some success and then drop. And I'm assuming just like anything else, the niche makes a difference. So for a water damage guy, if he wants to run in, how do you prevent that? Or how is it the same philosophy that you're doing now?
We could actually, Alfredo, there's so many like little videos that we could do. And one of them could be, there's something that pops up in trades like water damage, like roofing, like a nationwide moving campaign. When there is a lot of money involved, there can be some serious click fraud involved. And it's something that maybe ClickCease or an IP address blocker can't block. So that's when you want somebody experienced behind the wheel, because as long as I've been doing ads, as long as I used to sell like a rank and rent course, and it had a Google Ads module, and everyone loved it. And even I just 2 months ago, like just learned how to kill it was like 97% of the spam that came in from one of these high, and so there's something that you can look for that gets it every time when they're like hiring somebody to fill out the forms or just to click on the ads. What's the worst thing that they can do is when not only are they clicking on the ads, which will waste the $15 or whatever your average cost per click is, but when they fill out a fake form. So that's a problem we ran into, and we burned a lot of money for a roofing company, right? And how do you fix that? So we did end up figuring out how to fix that and knowing now what to look for inside of a campaign that's extremely competitive trade, like water damage, roofing, um, locksmith. Um, you can't fix that on a yeah, no, you can on a call only ad. So that could perhaps be another video, but it's also something that we teach in our coaching because we tend to that's one of the more advanced things. I don't know if that answered the question or not. I'm sorry, but when you mentioned these very competitive trades, that came to mind. And boy, no matter how good of an ads guy you are, they can eat your budget up
Yes.
around screw the landing page. When someone's just clicking on it with malicious intent, what can you do? I only figured that out myself 2 months ago, and an IP address blocker didn't do it. I'm sorry I can't share that today. That could maybe be another video.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. We would love to have you back and cover that
okay,
aspect of ads, right?
yeah.
Because it's a real thing, whether it's Facebook or Google. I definitely think I don't know why people everybody's not here for the same reasons, right? But definitely. So as we jump through this, as we're winding down here, Frederick, do you test smart ads, or have you tested smart ads?
Um, so it's my impression that they tend to be, you mean a smart campaign?
That's how he worded it. I don't know if you see it in there. Have you tested smart ads? That's how he
Okay,
says it. And then I'll ask, I can ask to unmute if he wants to clarify that, Frederick.
okay. I
Either.
assume he means a smart campaign. Um, and if I'm understanding the question correctly, it's almost like integrated ads where Google will take the headlines that you write for the search ad and they'll create their own ads for display or even plug you into YouTube ads. I prefer doing individual campaigns. Like if I'm running search ads, I want to have a search campaign. And if I want display ads, I want to have a display ad campaign. And then I'll upload images, custom banners. You don't do that with a smart campaign, right? It's like creating it for you, but you'll do much better if you have a dedicated display ad campaign. And then the same with YouTube videos. I'm not a YouTube ads expert, but I would want to have a video, perhaps of like a one that we've done before was we had a video of a guy pressure washing a house with pink foam, and then we did a YouTube campaign with that. Um, but Google on a smart campaign will create YouTube ads, and it won't be like an effective custom video like that. If I understand correctly, it'll be like those banner ads that you sometimes see in YouTube. Um, I personally I keep them all separated. Um, that being said, I don't know everything either. So,
Yeah,
you know,
no worries. Hopefully that helped, Frederick.
yeah.
Another Kyle here, I think and when you were talking about keywords, do you mostly stick with the exact and phrase match, even with your negative keywords?
Yeah, so a good negative keyword list can eliminate like, especially if you've done that trade like 40 times. So the more experience that we end up gaining, the better each of our niche negative keyword lists becomes. Um, so for instance, my pressure washing keyword list is like 800 keywords long. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. Oh
Do
yeah, yeah.
you
I typically use phrase match as my go-to. It's right in the middle, and it does demand a decent amount of intention, but gives Google the flexibility based on what people are typing in now. Uh, if my cost per lead is out of control, you can change that to exact match later. Um, but we typically have not got that. One thing that will pop up with phrase match is brand searches. And man, brand searches is a 10-minute conversation. Um, so that will pop up like the client's brand search, right? Alfredo's pressure washing. Do you want that in the campaign? Right? And how about Kyle's pressure washing, Steve's pressure washing? Do you want to show ads when they're looking specifically for another competitor? Um, so there's a lot of 10-minute conversations we should have. Like one day we can like hit three of these deeper topics.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have you
Yeah.
back on. Jay is asking the landing page example is quite like
Yeah.
minimalist. Is that a real example? Do you strike the header and footer like that?
Yeah. So we take out the header and footer. Although we have experimented in the past, we ended up like seeing best results in stripping the header and footer because the client couldn't explore. Like you don't want your client, the searcher, to get bored or have options to go places. If they get into explore and you want them out of research mode. So I usually take out the menu. And then once I've set the video there for them, at the end of the video, the cartoon I set up literally says, okay, now fill out the contact us form below. So there's nothing else for them to do. So you leave them on the page bored and they fill the form out. Um,
Awesome.
I don't want a lot of options for them. That's what we were talking about with that funnel. I want to trap them into psychologically going to the contact us form. Good question.
Now, with stopping the bots from wasting your budget, right? The click fraud, how often do you run into that?
Um, maybe like 5% of campaigns. Um, it's not necessarily bots. It could even be real people. But especially because one time that we ran into it, they were actually filling forms out. And then my client would try chasing the lead down, and there was no one at the end. So we figured out that someone was like 10 or 20% of the time they were filling out a fake form so that their conversion rate even roughly matched. Um, so yeah, I can get into that more another day, but about five, just the big trades that can come into play.
Awesome. So yeah, that's the last question. Jason, I appreciate you. Great job, great info, right?
Thank you.
Hopefully everybody got some value out of that to apply, how to help your agency grow and how to help your clients grow in their own agencies results as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely we'll have to invite Jason back, right? And get more into this topic. So guys, Jason will be speaking here in April, man. I want to make sure follow Jason on his Facebook, and he has that SEO spring training conference on there. Get your tickets through Jason, support him in Arizona. There'll be some great speakers that day. I'm thinking about making it at that conference, so we'll hopefully see each other again. Um, so we'll have Jason back on, guys, giving us some value. Last time he was great value as well. I
I
put
loved the
it,
last one. Yeah, that was fun.
I put the Facebook link to Jason on there. Show him some love. Go follow him, support him. And I appreciate you, Jason. And I'll see you on the next one. I'll have you back on for sure.
Thank
With
you so
that,
much. Thanks for
with
having me.
yeah. With that being said, guys, much love, much success, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right.